The Eagles had a nice, long, relaxing weekend after a big win on Thursday night. They're back in action this week against the Rams on Sunday night, but meanwhile, Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts continue to win games despite the huge criticism. Saquon Barkley is on track to make Eagles history, and the biggest question of them all is, can the Eagles lock up the number 1 seed this season? A two-team battle has emerged in the NFC, but I'm going to tell you why I still think the Birds have the upper hand. Welcome on into A to Z Philly. I'm RB. Do me a favor, like this video, go down below, and subscribe to our channel. Question of the day to the people, who do you think's better, Eagles or Lions? Eagles or Lions, straight up. Who do you think's going to end up with the number 1 seed? Give me your thoughts down below. And before we jump into that conversation, we have some things to get into, and we'll start with Nick Sirianni, who continues to dominate the NFL. I know a lot of us have been turned off to him due to his demeanor, his style of coaching, questioning, I guess, what his actual duties are over the past couple of years. But at the end of the day, you can't refute the numbers. Best winning percentage in Eagles history right now. Most wins by a Philly head coach in their first 60 games. Second highest win percentage among active NFL head coaches, and the third highest win percentage in the NFL since 2021. So, as much as we do like to rag on Nick, the fact of the matter is this team continues to come together. They continue to get fired up for Nick, for the rest of the coaching staff, and they're playing their best football right now, and they're on a 6-game win streak. I think it's also important to recognize, what he has done and how they have turned it around since the bye and give him some praise as well. Same goes for Jalen Hurts, who has also received a lot of criticism over the past couple of days, and I just don't understand why now is the time that we're talking about this. Did Jalen play a perfect game on Thursday night? No, but he made the big throws in the second half. He made the plays that were needed. And here's a comparison of Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, pretty much the greatest quarterback on earth since 2022. Similar amount of games, 42-43, 96 touchdowns for Hurts, 88 for Mahomes, 37 turnovers, which is 3 less than Mahomes, and a slightly lower passer rating. So, look, I'm not here to say that Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the world and he should not be criticized. You can't say anything about his game. He's had his ups and downs, but he, at the end of the day, finds ways to win games. Another thing that we say about Mahomes, and I know the Chiefs finally lost, but the reason they were 9-0, right? Obviously, they had a strong defense. Mahomes hasn't been playing his best this season, but it's because when he needs to make a big throw or he needs to make a big run with his legs or a big play to extend a game and go out there and win it on the final drive, he always seems to do so. And it feels like Jalen does have that trait as the Eagles go quiet every first half and then they pick it up, and Jalen just seems to be heroic in these second halves. We got to have a little bit of a laugh, man. Not at injury. We don't laugh at injury. We don't laugh at this stuff. But the Cowboys and the Giants are already out of it before Thanksgiving. They are both done. Cowboys placed Dak Prescott on injured reserve. His season is over. But the even more comical one today is the Giants have replaced Daniel Jones with Tommy DeVito as their starting quarterback. Not even Drew Lock. The Giants are in full tank mode. They are trying to get that number 1 draft pick. And Tommy DeVito, the Italian boy, is back. I mean, it's so funny. Eagles play the Giants and the Cowboys later this season. Should be 2 easy wins. And now on Thanksgiving, it is literally Cooper Rush and Tommy DeVito. Who could have guessed that? I said these teams were going to be 3-4 in the division this year. I didn't think they'd be out of it by Thanksgiving. Ladies and gentlemen, take some time, spend some family time, some quality time with your people. Don't even give this game any attention. Don't even watch this game. It is going to be a slop fest. I think the final score might be like 6-3, if I'm being completely honest. But look, man, end of the day, the Giants stink. They should have paid Saquon. Oh, wait, Saquon? You mean this guy? The guy that leads the NFL with over 1,300 scrimmage yards? The guy who has 655 in his last 5 games. Most over a 5-game stretch in Eagles history. If I was a Giants fan, I would literally be pulling my hair out. They made bad decision after bad decision. Now they got to get rid of Daniel Jones' contract, which is still early in its cycle. And, man, they are just such a mess. And it's because they let this guy go. And I'm so happy he is a Philadelphia Eagle. Saquon on pace for 1933 rushing yards with 14 touchdowns, 39 catches, 357 yards, 3 touchdowns in the air. That'd be 17 total. A lot of people are complaining the last day or two that we keep doing the tush push and Saquon's not getting as many touchdowns as he deserves. Look, a brilliant MVP voter, someone who's credentialed and who is smart and researches the game, should know that he's the reason they get down to the 1 every time. maybe he doesn't punch it in. But at the end of the day, we cannot chase individual awards. This team is trying to win a Super Bowl. So I don't care if Saquon wins MVP or not. I just care that this team is hoisting that Lombardi trophy at the end of the season. So that's where I'm at with that. But can they do that? I think it all depends on the schedules. All right, let's take a look at the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Lions played yesterday. They blew out the Jaguars, pretty much going to get Doug fired probably today. And the Lions are now 9-1. But the important thing to keep your eyes on, ladies and gentlemen, is this right here. The conference record, they are 6-1. Meanwhile, the Eagles are 5-2. So if these teams end up with tied records, it goes to the conference record. And the reason that I believe the Eagles have the upper hand here is because the Lions have a tougher schedule. Now, I'm not taking anything away from them. They have multiple 50-point games this season. They look like the most creative offense in the league. They're coming off a heartbreak loss last year. I mean, they have some really tough guys on their team, and their fan base is rowdy. I do think home field will play a huge component in this if these teams meet in the NFC Championship, because let's be honest, those two are starting to break away from the rest. If they meet in the NFC Championship, whoever has home field is going to have a huge advantage, whether it's in Detroit or Philadelphia. And I look at the Lions' schedule so far. They've played some decent teams. We both lost to Tampa Bay, which is interesting, but they have a couple good wins. Arizona, they did beat the Rams. They put 42 up on Seattle, Minnesota, Green Bay, Houston, even though Jared Goff did throw 5 picks in that game. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts barely throws any picks the last 5-6 weeks, and people want to criticize him. Anyway, different conversation. But when I look at the Lions' upcoming schedule, all right, Colts should be a win. They do play the Bears on Thanksgiving, and I do believe they lost last year on Thanksgiving, so anything could happen there. They do play the Bears twice. That's a division game. So, I could see them losing one of them. To be honest, just more of like a trap game against a lesser opponent. They have Green Bay, which is not going to be easy. Buffalo is going to be a really tough game. That's going to be one of those benchmark games. I think it could be a high-scoring juggernaut type of game where both teams go 30, 35 points. But I don't think they're going to beat Buffalo. Buffalo looks like one of the best teams in the NFL right now. They just snapped the undefeated streak of Kansas City. And then look how they end their season. San Francisco in San Fran, and then the Minnesota Vikings. So if the Detroit Lions, say, lose, 3 games here, 2-3 games, Eagles could have a realistic chance to win that number 1 seed. Let's look at the Eagles schedule. Rams this week. Matt Stafford's a professional, but the Eagles are much better than the Rams. They almost lost to the Patriots yesterday. Then you have the Ravens, who are going to be tough. Panthers, easy. Pittsburgh looks legit right now. They beat the Ravens yesterday. Washington could be tough. It's always a struggle against Washington, but Dallas, New York to end the season. I could see the Eagles losing, maybe 2 more games here. So let's say they lose 2, and their final record is 13-4. Let's say the Detroit Lions lose 3. Well, then these teams would be tied. What if the Lions lose 4? Do I think that's going to happen? No. But I think if they lose 3 and the Eagles lose 2, then it'll come down to that conference record that I was referencing before, and the Lions have more games remaining against NFC teams. I will say, though, the Eagles are in a much better state when it comes to health. Detroit Lions just lost another big player yesterday, Alex Anzalone, who broke his forearm. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson is out for the season, and it feels like the Eagles just keep getting stronger. A couple other things I want to point out. If these teams do end up matching up in the playoffs, how is the game going to be won? Because the Lions can beat just so many ways on offense. Yes, they're tough-nosed, and they're going to punch you in the mouth on defense, but Ben Johnson should already be a head coach. He will get a job after the season, and they're just so creative with everything they do. They can dink and dunk with Jared Goff. He usually doesn't turn the ball over, other than that 5-turnover game. They have a couple deep threats. They have 2 running backs who are legit. They can just beat you in a multitude of ways. But when it comes down to the Eagles offense, let's go look at the offensive statistics. Right now, Detroit number 3 in the league, 394 yards per game. Eagles at 380. They're 5th in the league. But we know the Eagles are the best rushing team in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Lions are number 3. However, let's go look at the defensive side of the ball. The Eagles are number 1 right now in team defense. The Lions are number 12. And where do the Lions struggle most against? The pass. Look at where they are all the way down here, giving up 232 per game in the air. The Eagles are giving up 173. So the question is, can Jalen Hurts go out there, play a clean football game, and take this team to a victory if needed? I'm not saying abandon the run. The run is this team's identity. In a way, you could almost kind of say it is for the Lions in some ways. But when you look at the Detroit Lions, they're a very good defense against the run. Top 5, 94 yards per game. Eagles right under them at number 7, just under 100 yards per game. So it would come down, really, in my opinion, to which quarterback can go out there and win a game with the football in their hands, with the game and maybe the season on the line. And something else to keep in mind is the Detroit Lions are, like I said, very tough, and they're going to try to poke the football away. Right now, they have 19 takeaways on the season. Eagles only have 13. So, again, it would come down to whether Jalen can play that clean football game, not make mistakes, not make the big turnover. And I really do think it would be the matchup of the season. The Eagles can beat you anyway right now on defense. They're playing the bend but don't break scheme, but they're also not giving up anything in front either. They have just been so elite with these rookie corners. Obviously, the coaches have to be on their top game as well. Dan Campbell, Nick Sirianni, both interesting guys who have made interesting decisions before. But it could really come down to just a few decisions, to make up this matchup. And, I mean, like I said, look at the Lions. Jameson Williams averaging over 22 yards per catch. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 touchdowns, over 10 yards per catch. They are a big-time offense, but they know how to set it up the right way. It could be a trick play where they just hit you at the right time. And then, look at their running backs, 18 touchdowns combined. Eagles defense has been the MVP of this team. And I mean, we know we have a historic offense on paper, but the way this defense has played and carried them and also kept them in games. But I just think the Eagles have to keep taking care of business. Whatever happens will happen. So we will see what happens. Give me your thoughts and predictions down below. But as always, appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, I'll catch you on the next one.
Tap into BetMGM Casino, and you're entering a huge library full of exclusive games. Games you won't find anywhere else. Looking for jackpots? Right this way. You'll always find someone ready to give you a hand. Or some dice. Your favorite game is waiting for you on BetMGM Casino.